Beyond the Hype, a fashion lifestyle tech podcast. Presented by Stephanie Williams and Greg Lewis.
Silicon Valley's going all in on AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, like billions and billions are flowing into this tech. It's like, I don't know, they're betting it'll be the next internet, the next electricity maybe, even the next reel.
Well, the scale of it is pretty remarkable. Think about it. We're talking investments on par with, say, the moon landings.
Yeah.
Or even, building the interstate highway system back in the day. But this time it's all focused on artificial intelligence.
So we're talking huge EE ambition here. To help us navigate this whole AI landscape, we've got insights from Lars Rahbaek, an expert over at MOJOMOTO. He's really got a front row seat to all this. The breakthroughs, the hype, the money, everything.
Yeah, Rahbaek is well regarded in the AI world. And what's really interesting about his perspective is he doesn't just focus on the technology itself, he really looks at the bigger picture, the economics, the societal impact, all of it.
So let's get into it. Let's unpack this AI revolution. And I guess let's start with the price tag. Just how much money are we talking about?
Well, you might want to sit down for this one. The numbers are, astronomical. Rahbaek points out, companies are already spending billions. Like, take OpenAI, for example.
Okay.
They could be looking at losses of up to $5 billion this year alone.
$5 billion.
Yeah, a massive jump from $500 million just last year.
Wow. $5 billion in loss. That's more than some countries' entire GDP. So who's actually footing the bill for all this?
Well, we're talking about some of the biggest names in tech, right? Companies like OpenAI, which is led by Sam Altman.
Right.
And then you've got Anthropic, which was co-founded by Dario Amodei. These are not your average startups, that's for sure.
Hello.
And Amodei, he actually predicts that training future AI models could cost, get this, $100 billion per model.
$100 billion for one AI model. That's like funding a small country.
Yeah.
Why are these companies willing to gamble so much? What's the big payoff they're hoping for?
The bet is that AI is going to unlock this whole new level of technological advancement. They're not just going for AI that can, crunch numbers or play chess. This is about AI that can actually learn, adapt, and think like we do. Think about it. That could revolutionize, everything. Healthcare, transportation, you name it.
That's where things get really interesting, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just about the software, is it? You need a whole infrastructure to support something this complex.
And that's where Rahbaek makes a really key point. The financial investment, the billions we've been talking about, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You need massive data centers to process all this information, and that takes energy, a lot of it. We could be looking at trillions of dollars in total expenses when you factor in the infrastructure and the energy demands.
Trillions. That's almost impossible to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
So they're basically building like the digital equivalent of the Hoover Dam just to power these AI systems.
Exactly. The gamble is that AI will become so essential, so integrated into our lives, that these costs will eventually seem insignificant.
It's a huge gamble, no doubt. But is it starting to pay off? Or are investors getting nervous?
Well, that's where we start to see some cracks, because even with all this hype and investment, some of the big financial institutions are starting to have doubts.
Like who? Give us the names.
Think of the heavy hitters, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, Barclays. These are not, small-time players. And even they're wondering if AI can really deliver the kind of returns everyone is hoping for.
So are they worried about the tech itself? Or is it just the money side of things?
It's kind of both, actually. On the tech side, there are still some pretty fundamental hurdles that AI needs to overcome. And of course, the sheer scale of these investments makes even the most seasoned investors a little bit uneasy. Like Rahbaek says, AI is under intense pressure to prove it's worth the investment.
Okay, I'm definitely hooked. Let's dive into those technological hurdles in our next part. What are the challenges that are making people hesitate? Is it just a matter of time before these get solved? Or are there some fundamental limits to what AI can do?
Actually, Rahbaek is cautiously optimistic. He really sees the potential for AI to be transformative, but he's very clear that its success is not a guarantee.
So it's not all doom and gloom then. There's still hope for our AI-powered future. But what makes him optimistic despite all the challenges we've talked about?
Well, he believes that a key factor is going to be taking a more holistic approach to AI development. It can't just be about the bottom line, about profits. We need to think about the ethics, the impact on society, even the environmental costs.
Right. We can't just charge ahead without thinking about the consequences. So what are some of the specific concerns Rahbaek raises?
One of the biggest red flags, he points out, is the potential for bias in AI systems. These systems learn from the data they're fed, and if that data reflects, existing biases in society, the AI could actually make those biases worse.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've already seen examples of this with things like facial recognition technology and some algorithms used in hiring. How do we prevent this from becoming a bigger problem as AI gets more powerful?
Rahbaek really stresses the need for careful attention to the data used to train AI systems. It needs to be diverse, representative of everyone, and, free from those harmful biases we talked about. Of course, that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it sounds like a huge undertaking. Where do we even begin to tackle a problem like that?
It's a tough challenge, for sure. But researchers are working on a few promising approaches. Some are developing techniques for debiasing data sets, so basically trying to identify and correct for those existing biases. Others are focusing on creating AI systems that are more transparent. That way, we can understand how they're making decisions and hopefully spot any potential biases.
So it's not just about the technology, it's about the people developing it, the choices they make.
Exactly. And Rahbaek makes a really powerful point here. He says that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to make sure it's used responsibly and ethically.
I like that. It's a good reminder that we're still in control, even as these technologies get more and more advanced. But it's a lot of responsibility too, isn't it?
It is, and that's why Rahbaek argues for a much broader conversation about AI, one that involves everyone, not just the tech people and investors. We need ethicists, policymakers, the public, everyone. We have to have a collective discussion about the future we want to build with AI.
It can't just be left to a handful of tech companies to decide the fate of humanity.
Exactly. And this conversation needs to happen now while these technologies are still being developed. We need to be proactive, not reactive.
So where does this all leave us? What's the takeaway message for our listeners who are trying to, wrap their heads around this AI revolution?
I think Rahbaek's message is a mix of caution and optimism. He sees the potential for AI to solve some of the world's biggest problems, but he's also very aware of the risks. We have to be mindful of both the benefits and the pitfalls, and we need to work together to make sure AI benefits everyone.
That's a great way to put it. And it brings us back to that question we asked at the beginning. Is Silicon Valley making a colossal mistake by putting all this money into AI, or is this a truly historic investment?
I think the jury's still out on that one. But one thing's for sure, this is a story that's just getting started.
And what a story it is. We've got billions of dollars being invested, the promise of a tech revolution unlike anything we've ever seen, concerns about bias and job losses, and a whole lot of uncertainty about what the future holds. It's enough to make your head spin.
It's a fascinating and complex landscape, that's for sure, and it's one we'll keep exploring in our next episode.
That's right. We've only just scratched the surface here. In part 3, we'll delve into some of the ways AI is already changing our lives, from self-driving cars to personalized medicine, and we'll explore the impact AI could have on all sorts of industries.
We'll also dig deeper into the ethical and societal implications of all this, and we'll tackle those big questions about the future we want to create with AI. You won't want to miss it.
So buckle up, listeners. The AI revolution is just getting started, and we'll be here with you every step of the way. We've been unpacking Silicon Valley's big AI gamble, talking about the huge investments, the potential, and of course, all those concerns about bias, reliability, just the massive scale of this whole tech revolution.
And we've been focusing on Lars Rahbaek's perspective, right? From MOJOMOTO. He's all about that holistic approach to AI. It's not just the tech itself, it's the economics, the ethical side, the impact it has on society. We need to look at the whole picture.
Yeah, we can't just let the tech industry run wild with this. But let's get practical for a second. How is AI actually changing our lives right now? Like, what are we seeing out there in the real world?
Well, AI is popping up everywhere, sometimes in ways we don't even realize. Think about those personalized recommendations you get on like Netflix or when you're shopping on Amazon.
Right.
That's AI working behind the scenes. It analyzes your past behavior to figure out what you might like. Pretty standard stuff these days.
Okay, yeah, that's true. What about something a little more, mind-blowing, something that really feels like the future is here?
Well, how about self-driving cars?
Okay, yeah.
That's a field where AI is like absolutely essential. Those vehicles rely on crazy complex algorithms to, see what's around them, make split-second decisions, and navigate the road safely.
Yeah, that's definitely a game changer. But I gotta say, it makes me a little nervous too. Can we really trust AI to drive us around? What happens if something goes wrong?
I mean, it's a valid concern, and it's something researchers are working on constantly. They're refining the algorithms, running tons of simulations, and testing these systems in more and more complex environments, all to try to make them as safe and reliable as possible.
So it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But the potential is huge. What other areas are we seeing AI make a big impact?
One of the most exciting areas is healthcare. AI is being used to speed up drug discovery, which could bring life-saving treatments to people a lot faster. It's also helping diagnose diseases earlier, sometimes even before there are any symptoms. And get this, in some cases, AI can even help doctors personalize treatment plans based on a patient's, genes and medical history.
That's incredible. It sounds like AI could completely revolutionize healthcare. Are there any downsides to this, though? I mean, could it create new problems even as it solves old ones?
One of the biggest challenges, I think, is making sure that these AI-powered healthcare solutions are actually available to everybody, regardless of their income or where they live. We don't want to create a system where only the wealthy can benefit from AI.
Yeah, that's a really important point. We need to make sure these advancements benefit all of humanity, not just the select few. But overall, it sounds like there's a lot to be excited about. So what's your take on the future of AI? Are you optimistic?
Yeah, I'd say I'm cautiously optimistic. I think AI definitely has the power to make our lives better in so many ways, but it's crucial that we develop and use it responsibly. Like Lars Rahbaek keeps emphasizing, we can't forget about the ethical side, the impact on society, and the need for inclusivity.
Right, it all comes back to that holistic approach. We need to ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want to create with AI? How do we ensure that it benefits everyone? These are big questions, and I don't think there are any easy answers.
Absolutely, and those are the questions we need to be asking right now while these technologies are still being developed. The decisions we make today, they're going to shape the future of AI and really the future of our world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into AI, I'm walking away with a feeling of, excitement mixed with a little bit of apprehension. The potential is huge, but the risks are real. AI could change our world in ways we can't even imagine, but it's up to us to steer it in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to put it. And remember, this is just the beginning of the story. The AI revolution is still happening, and we're going to see a lot of twists and turns along the way. But, stay curious, keep learning, and let's see what the future brings.
Great advice. And on that note, we'll sign off.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Beyond the Hype, a fashion lifestyle tech podcast.